In this class, we take a digression to discuss two results in vectors. These are two inequalities. These are encountered in ordinary spatial vectors. They are familiar in ordinary spatial vectors. We will see how. So we will prove these inequalities in the case of our generalized vectors in a complex vector space. And this exercise, consider this as doing some two exercises, and this will help us to manipulate this inner product, okay, taking vectors and taking inner product, etc. So first of these two inequalities, first one is called Schwarz inequality. Okay, the statement is this: consider two vectors. Let us say suppose we have two vectors, ket v and ket w. Okay, then Schwarz inequality says that the inner product between these two vectors, the modulus of this inner product, okay, it will always be less than the product of the norm of these vectors. Okay, for simplicity, when taking the norm, I have simply taken v and w, modulus v and modulus w. Actually, we should write modulus of ket v and modulus of ket w. So, in order to avoid a lot of notations, I have just simply taken v and w. So, Schwarz inequality says this: the value of the inner product of two vectors is always less than the product of their norms. Okay, we want to prove this. Before going to the proof, let us see how this Schwarz inequality can be stated in the case of ordinary vectors in three-dimensional space. After all, the vectors in three-dimensional space also constitute a vector space. Okay, so how do we state Schwarz inequality in the case of spatial vectors in three-dimensional space? So let us consider two vectors A and B, two spatial vectors, ordinary three-dimensional vectors. Then instead of this inner product, we take a scalar product. Okay, so what is A dot B? A dot B is mod A mod B cos theta. Okay, now we know that this cos theta is always less than or equal to 1. Okay, which implies A dot B is always less than or equal to mod A into mod B. This is same as Schwarz inequality. Instead of A dot B, instead of scalar product, we are taking the inner product in the case of a complex vector space. So the value or the modulus of the inner product is less than product of the norm of the vectors. Here also it is like that. So this is Schwarz inequality in ordinary three-dimensional space. Okay, and also let us see when this inequality becomes equality. When does it become equal? When this is equal to 1. Okay, so when cos theta is equal to 1, when here cos theta is equal to 1, we get A dot B is equal to mod A mod B. Okay, what does it mean cos theta equal to 1? Theta equal to 0. That means A is parallel to B. So when two vectors are parallel to each other, then the value of the scalar product is equal to product of the norms. So here also the inequality becomes equality. We will see that this inequality becomes equality when these vectors v and w are parallel to each other. Okay, or parallel to each other means when one vector can be written as a scalar multiple of the other. That's it. Okay, so now let us go to the proof. Let's consider the proof of Schwarz inequality in a complex vector space. Okay, now in order to prove this, what we are going to do is, so we have these two vectors, okay, v and w. We take the vector v and we construct that part of v which is orthogonal to w. Okay, we are going to take the component of v, the part of v which is orthogonal to ket w. How do we construct that? Yesterday in the previous class we have discussed this Gram-Schmidt orthonormalization procedure. So when you want to take a part of ket v which is orthogonal to ket w, what we have to do? We have to subtract from v the components along w. Okay, take the vector v, subtract the component parallel to w, then whatever is remaining will be perpendicular to w. Okay, so in order to take the component of v along the direction w, first we have to construct the unit vector along the direction w. Okay, so first I am going to construct the unit vector along the direction w. So let me take it like this. As a first step, instead of unit vector, let me say normalized vector. Okay, so normalized vector along the direction of ket w. Okay, how do we construct this? You simply take the ket w and divide it with the modulus of w. That's it. Now how do we calculate the modulus of w? Where this modulus of w is equal to inner product of w with itself and square root. Okay, so this is the unit vector along the direction of w, or the normalized vector along the direction w. So once we get that, second what we are going to do is component of v, component of vector v along the direction of ket w. So when I say component, let's don't assume that it's a scalar. So let me better write part of vector v. So we are going to get the vector part. Okay, so part of ket v along the direction of ket w. This we have to subtract from v. Okay, so what is the part of v along the direction w? How do we get the part? First of all, let us take the component of v along the direction w. How do we get that? You take the inner product of between w, unit vector along the direction w, that is w by modulus w with v. See what I have done here. So what is the component of ket v along the direction of a unit vector? This is the unit vector, right? This is the unit vector. So what is the component of ket v along the direction of this unit vector? You take the inner product between this unit vector and ket v. Remember again this we have discussed in the previous two classes. We have, suppose in three-dimensional space we have a generalized vector A. We can expand it in terms of, let's say, Cartesian coordinates axi plus ayj plus azk. What is this ax? It is a component of vector A along the direction of x axis or unit vector I. How do we get this ax? I dot a. You take the scalar product between unit vector I and a. So in order to get the component of a vector along a particular direction, what we have to do is take the unit vector along that direction, take the scalar product between this unit vector and the general vector. So in order to get the component of v along the direction of ket w, so maybe we can write ket w by modulus w, because this is our unit vector now. So along the direction of this unit vector, take the inner product between this unit vector and this general vector. That's what we have done here. Okay, bra vector W by mod W. This is the unit vector. See, we have just taken the bra vector of this one. So this part is a scalar, it will remain the same. We have taken this, okay. Okay. And this is the component only. And what is the vector? Vector part along this direction. In order to get the vector part, we have to add the unit vector. See, vector part of A along the direction x-axis AXI. So AX is I dot A, but you have to add the direction also. So AXI. So this is the AX part. Now what is I here? The unit vector along this direction. What is the unit vector? Okay. Then you have this modulus W here, modulus W here. Then you get modulus W square. Okay. Modulus of W, norm of W is square root of inner product of W with itself. So square of the norm is inner product of W with itself. So this part I can write as WB by WW. Okay. So this is the part of V along the direction W. Now as the third step, what we are going to do is part of V, part of ket V orthogonal to W. Okay, let me call this part as Z, ket Z. So how do we construct this? We take ket V and from this subtract the component along the direction W. So V minus WV okay. So this is the part of V, ket V orthogonal to W. Okay, we can use this axiom of inner product that inner product of set with itself is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay, this is the second axiom of property or axiom of inner product. Okay, so then let us substitute for Z. So this is ket set. Then what is bra vector set? We can say the bra vector side will be V minus okay, and the ket vector part is okay. V minus WV by WW in bra vector side, ket vector side. Now we have to expand this. So there are two terms in the, it's a linear combination of two terms in the bra vector side. There are two terms in the ket vector side. So we will get four inner products, four terms in the inner product. So let us expand. So first let us take the inner product of bra vector V with ket vector V. Okay, so what you get is V with itself. Then inner product between bra vector V and ket vector, this one. Okay, so understand that this is a scalar. WV by WW. This is the inner product of W between W and V. This is the inner product of W with itself. This is a scalar, numerator and denominator. Now, when there is a scalar in the ket vector side, when you take the scalar outside, there is no change for that scalar. In general, the scalar will be a complex scalar, but when you take it outside from the ket vector side, it doesn't change. So, let us take it outside. So, minus with a minus sign here, WV by WW. Okay, this scalar has come out with this minus sign, and then you have to take the inner product between V and this W. So, bra vector V, ket vector W. Then take the inner product between this vector and this vector. Okay, then there is a scalar here. When you take the scalar outside from the bra vector side, it will become its complex conjugate. Okay, so there is a minus sign here also, minus, and Actually, we have to take the complex conjugate of only this numerator part, because the denominator is inner product of W with itself, which is real. We know that inner product of a vector with itself is always real. So this is real, only this is complex. So when you take it outside, it's, this will become its complex conjugate. So we have W V star by WW. Then take the inner product between W and V. So this is bra vector W and ket vector V. Okay. Then last term, inner product between this and this. So minus of minus will be plus. Then this scalar, when you take out from the bra vector side, it will become complex conjugate. The numerator will become its complex conjugate. So we have this scalar, when it comes out, will not change. So okay, then you take the inner product between bra vector W and ket vector W. So we have, and the whole thing is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, now we can see that this last term, fourth term, in this fourth term, one inner product of W with itself, there is one in the denominator and one in the numerator, will cancel. Then the remaining term is exactly equal to the third term. So third term is negative, the fourth term will be positive. So third term and fourth term will cancel each other. So there are only two terms here. Okay. Then we can take the second term to the right side. Inner product of V with itself is greater than or equal to, right side you have greater than or equal to 0. So greater than or equal to, and this term when you take to the right side, it will become positive. So we have W V by W W V W. Okay. Here this W W I am taking to the left. So we have V, inner product of V with itself, inner product of W with itself. This is greater than or equal to, and here this WV, let me write as VW star. This is the first axiom of inner product. When you change the order of the vectors in the inner product, the result will be complex conjugate of the earlier result. Okay, so WV, when you change the order, we get VW star, complex conjugate of this scalar. And this here you have VW. Okay. What is inner product of V with itself? It is mod V square. Inner product of W with itself, mod W square, norm of square of the norm of W. So greater than or equal to, what is VW into VW star into VW? It is the square of this VW square. Remember, this inner product of V with W is in general a complex scalar. Okay, so when you multiply a complex scalar with its complex conjugate, we get the square of the norm of that complex scalar. When you take the square root on both sides, modulus norm of vector V into norm of vector W is greater than or equal to modulus of inner product between V and W. This is the proof. See, this is Schwarz inequality. We need to just interchange the two sides, that's all. Okay, we have proved that the product of the norm of two vectors is always greater than or equal to the magnitude of the inner product, their inner product. In other words, the magnitude of the inner product between two vectors is always less than or equal to the product of their norms. Now, when does we get equality? See, this inequality comes from the step that we have taken this step. Okay, inner product of Z with itself is greater than or equal to 0. So the equality comes when inner product of Z with itself is 0. But you know we know from the second axiom of inner product that inner product of a vector with itself is 0 only when the vector itself is 0. Okay, only when the vector itself is a null vector. So this inequality becomes equality when the vector set that we have constructed becomes a null vector. But what was the vector z that we have constructed? It was the part of vector v which is orthogonal to vector w. Okay, so when this vector is equal to 0 means there is no part of v orthogonal to vector w. That means ket v is parallel to ket w. So this inequality becomes equality when ket v and ket w are parallel to each other. In other words, we can say ket v is equal to some a times ket w, where a is a scalar, a real scalar. It can be positive or negative, but generally it's a real scalar. So when ket v and ket w are just linearly dependent on each other, or in other words, they are just a linear multiple of scalar multiple of each other, then we can say ket v is parallel to ket w. There is no orthogonal component of ket v. So that is ket z is 0, which means this inner product of z with itself is 0. Then this inequality becomes equality. So remember that in the case of ordinary three-dimensional vectors also, the inner product becomes this inequality becomes equality when a and b, the two vectors, are parallel to each other. When cos theta is 0, that means when cos theta is 1, that is theta equal to 0. The a and b are parallel to each other. Here also, when this ket v and ket w are parallel to each other, this Schwarz inequality becomes equality. Okay, so this is the first inequality that we wanted to discuss. The second inequality is triangle inequality. This is the triangle inequality. The norm of the sum of two vectors. Again, inside the norm symbol, I have avoided this ket symbol. Actually, they are ket v plus ket w. So the norm of the sum of two vectors is always less than or equal to the sum of their norms. Norm of the sum of two vectors is always less than or equal to the sum of their norms. This is the triangle inequality. Again, before going to the proof, let us see how this triangle inequality can be stated in the case of ordinary three-dimensional vectors. So suppose we have two vectors, say vector A and vector B, and the angle between them is theta. Okay. Then if according to this parallelogram law of addition, okay, this diagonal will be A plus B. And we know that this A plus B is equal to square root of mod A square plus mod B square plus 2 times mod A mod B cosine of the angle between A and B. In this case, since the angle is theta, it is cos theta. Now here, suppose cos theta is equal to 1. Okay, suppose. Then we get, okay, this is actually modulus of A plus B. Okay, magnitude of A plus B is this. So this magnitude of A plus B, modulus of A plus B is equal to, when cos theta is 1, what you get is square root of A square plus B square plus 2AB, which you can write as square root of mod A plus mod B whole square. Right? Mod A square plus mod B square plus 2 mod A mod B. Now, so therefore what you get, modulus of A plus B is equal to mod A plus mod B. Okay. But in general, we know that cos theta is less than or equal to 1. So if cos theta is 1, left hand side is equal to mod A plus mod B. So if cos theta is less than 1, then what you get, or less than or equal to 1, in general we can say mod A plus mod B, mod of A plus B is less than or equal to mod A plus mod B. So this is triangle inequality in the case of ordinary vectors. And when does this inequality becomes equality? when cos theta is equal to 1, that is theta is equal to 0, that is A and B are parallel to each other, just as in the case of Schwarz inequality. Okay, now let us try to prove this triangle inequality. Okay, so let us take this square of this norm. Okay, square of the norm of sum of two vectors. Well, let us say sum of these two vectors is simply a vector. So square of the norm is equal to inner product of this vector with itself. Okay, so this vector is simply v plus w. So its square of the norm is inner product of this vector. Let's consider v plus w as a single vector. Let us say some z. Then this is mod z square. So what is mod z square? Inner product of z with itself. Okay, that is inner product of v plus w with itself. Okay, again you have two terms in the bra vector side, two terms in the het vector side. Let us expand, we will get four terms. So what is this? Inner product of v with itself. Okay, then v with w. Okay, first I will write inner product of v with itself and then w with itself. Okay, so w with itself. So v and v, w and w. Then what are the cross terms? V with w, then w with v. Okay, these are the four terms. Now this we can write as, let's keep the first two terms as such. V with w plus this inner product of w with v, I can write as, I can change the order of the two vectors in the inner product. And this is v w star, complex conjugate of v w star, the first axiom of inner product. Now let us look at these two terms. Okay, remember inner product of a vector with another vector is in general a complex scalar. So this inner product of v with w, suppose this is a complex scalar. So let us say this is equal to something like a plus ib, a real part and an imaginary part. Then what is this v, inner product of v w star, complex conjugate of this complex number, so a minus ib. So when you add the two, when you add a complex number with its complex conjugate, what do you get? So vw plus vw star. When you add these two, the imaginary part will cancel, we get 2 times the real part. So this sum we can write as 2 times the real part of vw. Okay. Real part of inner product of v with w. Okay, let us call this equation 1. So v plus w square is inner product of v with itself plus inner product of w with itself plus 2 times real part of vw. Maybe I can, before I can simplify this, rewrite this in such a way. This I can write as mod v square. This is mod w square, inner product of w with itself, plus 2 times real part of inner product of v with w. Okay, call it equation 1. Okay, now let us see. So what is the real part of, coming back to this equation, the real part of inner product of v with w, okay, is, according to this example, it is a. Real part of this inner product is a. Let us see what is norm of this inner product of v with w. What is the norm of this scalar, this complex scalar? So if this complex scalar is like a plus ib, its norm is square root of a square plus b square. Okay, so when you compare the two, you can see that real part of v plus w, v with w, that is real part of inner product of V with W. Okay, it is A, whereas norm of V with inner product of V with W is square root of A square plus B square. That is, real part of the inner product of V with W is always less than or equal to norm of inner product of V with W. Actually, not norm, modulus, I should say, because the inner product of V with W is a complex scalar. Its modulus is it contains the real part as well as imaginary. I mean, the square of the real part and the square of the imaginary part, root of A square plus B square, whereas real part of inner product contains only A. So in general, see, if B is 0, these two are same, but in general this real part of inner product is less than or equal to the modulus of the inner product. Okay, this is one thing. And another thing, according to Schwarz inequality, okay, that we have proved now, Schwarz inequality states that this norm of or modulus of inner product of V with W is less than or equal to product of the norms. Product of the norms of the two vectors. Okay, so see, in equation 1 we have this real part of inner product of V with W. What we see is that this is less than or equal to the modulus of inner product of V with W. Let me call this as equation 2. And this part, according to Schwarz inequality, this modulus of inner product between two vectors is always less than or equal to product of their norms. Okay. Then if you use equation 3 in equation 2, okay, then we can say that instead of this, we can say that real part of inner product of V with W is less than or equal to mod V into mod W. If we use equation 3 in equation 2, then we can write equation 2 becomes real part of inner product between V and W is less than or equal to, okay, instead of this we can write this. Okay, this is see, it is less than or equal to this, but this right hand side is less than or equal to this. So we can say that this real part is less than or equal to mod V into mod W. Let us call it equation 4. Now in equation 1 we have this real part of inner product between V and W, right? This is an equation, but this is less than or equal to this. Okay, so let's substitute equation 4 in equation 1. Then equation 1 becomes norm of V plus W square is less than or equal to norm of V square plus norm of W square. Now we have a less than or equal here, because instead of this real part of inner product between V and W, I am going to use this inequality. Okay, so this part is less than or equal to norm of V into W, so I am going to use that. So there is a 2 here, so plus 2 times, instead of this I am using this inequality, 2 times norm of V into norm of W. See, right side we can rewrite as, it is V square plus W square plus 2 times V into W, so we can simplify this as norm of V plus norm of W whole square. Okay, so taking the square root on both sides, norm of V plus W is less than or equal to sum of norm V plus norm W. This is the proof. Now let us see when this inequality becomes equality. Here this inequality comes from two sources. One is from this inequality, okay, and the other is from Schwarz inequality. Okay, so this becomes the equality when these two becomes equal. See, we already know that what is the condition for Schwarz inequality becomes equality when one vector, the two vectors V and W are parallel to each other, or we can say V is some scalar multiple of W. So the condition for Schwarz inequality to become equality is ket V is equal to some A times ket W. Let us take this A as this is a real number. It can be positive or negative, then V and W are parallel to each other, but let us insist that this is a real positive number. Okay. Under this condition, Schwarz inequality becomes equality. What about this inequality? Okay, so let us start from this part, real part of inner product between V and W, and let us proceed with this condition. Okay, when V is a scalar multiple of W, where this scalar is a positive real number. Okay, so let us start here. Real part of inner product between V and W is equal to real part of, instead of V I am writing A times W. Okay, remember this A is a positive real number. Then I can take this A outside the bra vector. Since A is a real number, when you take outside, normally if you take a complex number outside the bra vector, it becomes complex conjugate. Since A is a real number, it becomes A itself. So real part of, then A times real part of inner product of W with itself. See, inner product of W with itself is always real. Inner product of a vector with itself is always real. So the right hand side is a real quantity. So we can simply write A times inner product of W with itself, which is equal to, we can say, modulus of A into modulus of inner product of W with itself. Since both are real numbers, this is a real positive number, and the inner product of W with itself is always greater than or equal to 0. It becomes 0 only if W is 0, but we have taken two non-zero vectors V and W. So this is always positive. Inner product of a vector with itself, if it's not a null vector, inner product of the vector with itself is always positive. So this is also positive, this is also positive. So instead of the numbers, we can take the modulus. Then this is equal to, I can take A inside, modulus of, I can write it as A W, right, like this. I can take A then inside. So this is modulus of AW W. Now AW is nothing but the vector V. So this is equal to inner product of V with W. Okay. So now real part of inner product of V with W is equal to inner product of V, see, modulus of inner product of V with W. So the second inequality also becomes equality. So when the two inequalities in equation 2 and 3 becomes equality, then this becomes equality. So what is the condition for these two inequalities to be equality? The condition is that the vector V is equal to some positive real number times vector W. In other words, the two vectors are parallel to each other. This we have seen in the case of ordinary three-dimensional vectors also. When the two vectors A and B are parallel to each other, we can say this inequality becomes equality. The same thing happens in the case of abstract vectors in a complex vector space. So in this class we have discussed these two inequalities, Schwarz inequality and triangle inequality. These are very general results which is applicable to ordinary three-dimensional vectors also. We have proved these two inequalities. These two results will be useful in trying to prove many other results in quantum mechanics. Okay, we will see that.